right, in this lesson we are going to explore two new ways to solve a system of equations. So we've already looked at how we solve a system of equations by graphing. This is going to show us how we can solve it algebraically, meaning by hand, by either using substitution or elimination. So we're going to look at both methods using two separate examples. And then after we cover these two methods, you're going to decide which one you want to practice and learn more about. And so then you will click on the video that has the method you want to use, and you will complete the last three examples using that. All right, so the first method we're going to look at is substitution. So with substitution, what we are doing is we're picking one of our equations, and we're getting one of the variables by itself in that equation. And then we're going to take what we get and we're going to plug it into the other equation for that variable. We are substituting it for that variable. And this will let us solve and see what one of our variables will equal, okay? And then once I figure out what that one variable equals, it's very short and easy to find what the other variable will equal. Okay, so let's walk through it. So we're using substitution to solve the system. All right, so we've got our two equations. I've got equation 1 and equation 2. I'm going to choose one of those equations to get one of the variables by itself. It does not matter if I want to get x by itself or y by itself. I just got to pick one, right? So let's say I'm looking at equation 1 and I notice that it has a plus y. Okay, that means that all I got to do is get the x to the other side, and I'm not going to have to divide by anything to get y by itself. So I'm going to solve for y. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this out, and I'm going to write that equation first. So negative 5x plus y equals 15. And then next to it, I'm going to write my other equation, 15x plus 3y equals 15. So that's equation 2. All right. And then we're going to save this last part for what we're doing here. Okay. So I'm getting y by itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add 5x to each side. So that's going to give me y equals 5x plus 15. All right, I'm going to go ahead and write that y's by itself like I want. So I'm going to write that down in my last column. Y equals 5x plus 15. So now for my next part, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take what y equals, and I am going to plug it in for y in my other equation. So everything else is going to stay the same, but I'm going to change that y to a 5x plus 15. So I'll have 15x plus 3, and then in parentheses I'm going to write 5x plus 15, and then I've got equals 15. Okay, so we know from here we're going to simplify. I've got nothing but x's now in the equation, so I'm going to try to find what x equals. So I'm distributing. I get 15x plus 15x plus 45 equals 15. Then I'm going to go through, I'm combining like terms. So I've got 15x plus 15x, that makes 30x plus 45 equals 15. Next, I'm going to subtract 45 from each side so that I can get the x by itself. So that's going to give me 30x equals negative 30. And then now my last thing to do is to divide each side by 30 to get x by itself all the way. And I get x equals negative 1. Okay, so I have found part of my answer, part of my solution. Okay, remember the solution to a system is an ordered pair. X is negative 1, so I know that first number has to be negative 1. Now I need to find what y equals. So I'm going to take that negative 1, and I said that that's what x equals. So in my last little column over here, I am going to put the negative 1 where the x is. So this will give me y equals 5, parentheses, -1 plus 15. All right, and then I just need to figure out what this equals. I can type that in the calculator since there's no variables on that side. This is -5 plus 15, which is 10. So that gives me y equals 10. And so my second part of my solution, my y value, is 10. So that's my answer. All right, so that's how substitution works, okay? So that's one method of solving systems algebraically, all right? We found the same solution we would as if we were graphing and looking for where the two lines were crossing. This is just another method. All right, option number 2 here is elimination. So with elimination, what you're trying to do is you're trying to eliminate or cancel out one of your variables after adding your two equations together, after combining like terms. And so to make that work, we need to make one of our variables the same but opposite signs for both of our equations, like a 5x and a -5x if I want my x's to cancel. And we do that by multiplying our equations by whatever we need to make that happen. All right, so looking at this, once again, I've got equation 1 and equation 2. So I just need to pick either x or y to cancel out. It doesn't matter which one I pick. Let's say that I have decided I want to cancel out my x's this time. All right, I've got an 8x and a -2x. So I want both of those to be the same but opposite signs, one positive and one negative. And so I'm going to think about what I need to multiply by to make that happen. Well, since my 8x is the bigger number, I'm going to look at that smaller number and see if I can multiply by something to make them equal. So since my smaller number is -2x, I know that I can multiply by 4, and that will become a -8x. And so that will give me the same as my other equation, just the opposite sign. It'll be a negative instead of a positive. So when I rewrite this, I've got equation 1, which was 8x minus 6y equals -6. And then for my new equation 2, I am distributing. So everything's going to get multiplied by 4. So that's going to become -8x, positive 12y, and then equals -12. All right, and so now that my x's are opposite, I'm going to add my like terms together. So we know that 8 minus 8, or 8 plus -8, makes 0. Okay, so that has canceled out. And then I've got -6y plus 12y, which equals 6y. And then on the other side of the equal sign, -6 plus -12 is -18. So now I have a short one-step equation. Y is my only variable. So I just need to get y by itself by dividing by 6. And that's going to give me y equals -3. All right, so I just found part of my solution set. Remember, y is your second number in the solution. So that's going to be a -3. Now I need to figure out what x equals. So the way that we do that is we go back to one of our original equations. Like, for example, equation 1. It was 8x minus 6y equals -6. And I'm going to replace my y with that -3. So kind of like with substitution. And so when I do that, I get 8x minus 6 times -3 equals -6. Okay, so working through this, multiplication right here, that gives me 8x plus 18 equals -6. And then I'm going to subtract 18 from each side. Oh, that made a big line. And then that gives me 8x equals -24. And then I divide both sides by 8. And that gives me x equals -3. All right, so that means that my x value is also going to be -3. And then that is my solution set. All right, so What you're going to do now is you're going to decide which one of these you think you'll like the most, all right? Which one makes the most sense to you. And so you're going to pick either substitution or elimination. And then you're going to click on that video that's attached to the same assignment as this one. And you're going to pick either substitution or elimination. And you're going to complete the last 3 examples.